Have you ever been profiled and or discriminated against?
Yes, I have.
Can you describe it?
I was in elementary school. I moved into a new town up in Alaska. And since I am of the Hispanic race, they thought since no one up there is mainly Hispanic, it's mostly white, people are black or they're Russian, they didn't really know how to deal with Hispanics. So they put me in a remedial class so they can see if I was able to speak English, even though I was ahead of my grade.
Have you ever been profiled and or discriminated against?
I have.
Can you describe your feelings about
It makes you feel like you're below that person, but in reality, you just have to remember that you're all equal, you just have a different background.
Can you give me a sole example of discrimination?
A sole example of discrimination is how police officers are able to shoot a black innocent person while there's no trial for it and the police officer is innocent. While if they shot someone who's white, that police officer will go to jail right away.
And one of just profiling, just a sole example of profiling.
An example of profiling would be that, for example, if I walk into a store, someone would assume I speak Spanish even though I choose not to or don't fully understand it.
I have.
What did you feel when you did that?
After you realize what you did, it feels horrible.
Now,
To me, racial profiling and discrimination is when a certain race or gender is thought of as a problem. In the years that I've been working, I've been fortunate enough to not be discriminated or profiled against, but I've often seen it in the work setting. When I worked as a nurse for 20 years, I've seen males discriminate towards women and push them to be nurses to being supervisors just because they are women. But over the years, I've seen the ratio of women to men expand, and many of the women were able to become supervisors. I've come across men who think that women shouldn't aim towards such positions because they think of them as weak. When I'm around people like this, it makes me wonder what kind of things go through some people's heads to make them want to think that way. Growing up, I was taught to treat others with the same respect despite of their differences. Unfortunately, even after these years, situations like this still exist because there's always going to be that one person who will have an opinion.
I have seen that in my line of work, people with the same credentials as others have gotten a lower position than others, just because they had a different skin tone. Let me re-say this. They had the same credentials. Now, in social gatherings, I have seen people dumb down their talking and subject matter just being discussed just because a certain member of a group or race is present in the event. Yes, I can give an example of discrimination. Being talked to in Spanish because you are Hispanic. Even though I have gone to college, graduated, have a steady job, family, I still walk into a store and the attendant will come forth and speak to me in Spanish, fully expecting and assuming I know not how to speak my first language. One example of profiling would be being classified to belong in the gang group, the dropout group, or the dumb group solely because I am of a Hispanic nature. And there have been people in my ethnicity that belong to said groups. I see discrimination and profiling happen almost on a daily basis. In fact, it was not even my first day on the job and I was already seeing this happen. It was the interview phase of my employment and there were 2 positions open and 3 people called back. There was a black person and 2 Hispanics, myself and another gentleman. The gentleman had a large tattoo on his hand, so he got immediately dismissed because of the ink on his hand. That meant the 2 of us were more than likely to get the job. Well, we did not. They called forth a 3rd interviewee, white may I add, and gave the job to that person and myself, completely ignoring the qualifications of the man that was darkest. He was already a doctor in the field, while the 2 people interviewed and given the job only had their masters. Issues such as this call me to act. They call me to change things. They call me to debate, to raise awareness, to educate, to stand up and fight for my equals and myself. They stir within me a feeling of rage and disappointment in what is still happening. They make me want to scream to the world, we are all equal.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good Gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.